Man, some stories just hit different. They feel like they're pulled from some ancient myth. Khamzat Chimaev's story is one of those. It starts in a place forged by struggle, Chechnya. He was born there, a kid growing up in the shadow of conflict. That kind of environment, it does something to you. It either breaks you, or it builds you into something harder than steel. For Khamzat, it was the start of a journey, a call to adventure he didn't even know he was answering yet. He was just a boy, but the world was already shaping him, getting him ready for the battles that were to come. It's wild to think about that kid, looking out at his world, not knowing he'd one day have the whole fight game watching his every move. Then comes the big move. At 19, his family makes the life-changing decision to move to Sweden. Imagine that. You leave everything behind. Your home, your friends, the very ground you grew up on. You go to a new country with a different language, a different culture, a completely different way of life. That's a test of character right there. A lot of people would get lost in that transition. They'd feel isolated, disconnected. For Khamzat, this was his first real opponent outside of a gym. It was a challenge to his spirit, a test of his will to adapt and overcome. Every great hero finds their weapon, their calling. For Khamzat, that weapon was wrestling. He had started wrestling back in Chechnya, a place where that sport is practically a religion. It's in their blood. But in Sweden, the wrestling mat became his sanctuary. It was the one place where language didn't matter, where culture didn't matter. All that mattered was strength, technique, and will. He threw himself into it completely. He dominated. He became a 3-time Swedish national wrestling champion. This wasn't just a hobby, it was an obsession. But wrestling, as pure as it is, was just the beginning. The real threshold was crossed when he walked into an MMA gym. He saw guys like Alexander Gustafsson, Ilir Latifi. Then, in 2020, the call came. The UFC, FightIsland, this was it. The moment he had been working for, through all the tough jobs and grueling training sessions. And what does he do? He puts on a performance that is just mind-blowing. He moves up a weight class on short notice, completely dominates. JohnPhillips submits him in the second round. It was a masterful display of his grappling. But that wasn't the crazy part. The crazy part was what he did next. Just 10 days later, 10 days. He steps back into the octagon, this time at his natural weight class, and just destroys RhysMcKee in the first round. It was unprecedented. No one had ever done that in the modern UFC era. Suddenly, everyone knew his name. Khamzat Chimaev. It was on the lips of every fan. Just when it seemed like nothing could stop him, the universe threw him the biggest challenge of his life. It wasn't an opponent with 2 fists and a game plan. It was something invisible. It attacked him from the inside. He contracted a severe case of COVID-19. And honestly, it didn't just give him a cough. It wrecked him. It attacked his lungs. For a fighter whose entire game is built on cardio and pressure, a serious lung condition is a potential career ender. This was his ordeal. It brought the unstoppable force to a complete halt. The struggle was real, and it was dark. There were reports of him being hospitalized, of him coughing up blood. He tried to train through it, being the warrior that he is, but his body just wouldn't cooperate. And then he returned. The resurrection. After more than a year away from the octagon, he came back to face LiJingliang. The question on everyone's mind was, is he the same guy? He answered that question with no doubt whatsoever. After his incredible return, Khamzat faced his toughest test inside the octagon against GilbertBurns. This was the fight everyone wanted to see. A true test against a top-tier contender. It was an absolute war. For the first time, we saw Khamzat face real adversity. He got dropped. He got hurt. He had to dig deep into that place only true champions can find. He didn't dominate like before, but he showed something more important. Heart. He went the distance and won a unanimous decision, one of the year's best fights. He proved he wasn't just a bully. He was a warrior who could survive the fire and come out with his hand raised. His journey is far from over. Today, he stands as one of the most compelling figures in combat sports. The ultimate goal, the UFC Championship, is still out there. It's the final prize in his hero's journey. Whether it's at welterweight or middleweight, the hunt for gold is what drives him now. He continues to train with that same maniacal intensity, always pushing, always evolving. He knows the top of the mountain is guarded by killers. What makes his story so powerful is how it inspires people. It's a story about overcoming incredible odds. A kid from a war-torn region who moves to a new country, works grueling jobs, and through sheer force of will, becomes a global superstar. It's a testament to self-belief and relentless hard work. He shows people it doesn't matter where you come from. If you have a dream and you're willing to fight for it with every fiber of your being, you can achieve greatness. Khamzat Chimaev is a force of nature, a modern-day gladiator. He came from nothing and built an empire on grit and determination. Whatever happens next, his legacy is already secure. He is the wolf who came from the mountains. It's a wild ride, man, and I can't wait to see how it ends.